Hello friends, this is Jennifer Terri and welcome to my channel. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing and liking this video. In today's video, I have some big news. So we already know that travelers or foreign nationals coming from the UK or transiting to the UK from the 14 days are prohibited from entering the Philippines. Well, today, just now, 6 p.m., the Philippines has finally announced that 19 more countries will be prohibited from entering the Philippines. What are these 19 countries? Let's start with the announcement of the presidential spokesperson, Harry Roque. So this is where we're going to base our information. So this is the final guidelines of the government. So this is where we're going to get our information to the office of the presidential spokesperson. Don't worry guys, this is a legit official site, okay? So we scroll down. There we go. This was just posted 9 minutes ago. So I'm gonna read this to you and we're gonna talk about it. So President Roa Duterte approved the following additional measures in light of the new variant of the COVID-19. So the first one is the UK travel ban, which we already know of, which was extended until January 15, 2021. However, effective December 30, 2020, this is the new news, effective December 30 or 12:01 a.m. until January 15, all foreign nationals coming from or transiting through the following countries or areas shown in your screen right now, 14 days before arrival to the Philippines, if you are coming from any of these countries and you are a foreign national, you are prohibited from entering the Philippines starting December 30, 12:01 a.m. until January 15, 2021. So these countries are United Kingdom, Switzerland, Denmark, Hong Kong, China, Ireland, Singapore, Japan, Germany, Australia, Iceland, South Africa, Italy, Israel, Spain, Netherlands, Lebanon, Canada, Sweden, France, South Korea. So all of these countries have reported a record of a new COVID variant, which is why the Philippines has imposed travel bans on these countries. So all flights starting December 30 until January 15 coming from these countries are suspended. And effective immediately, passengers who are already in transit and arrive before December 30, 12:01 a.m. from 19 countries, from those 19 countries that I have mentioned, or coming or including those who have been to the same places within 14 days before arrival to the Philippines, shall still be allowed. So they're still not covered because travel ban only starts December 30, 12:01 a.m. So if you arrive before those dates and you're coming from those 19 countries, you're still allowed. However, after starting December 30, 12:01 a.m., it is prohibited. So this travel ban runs for 26 days. Okay, that's almost 1 month. So however, they said that they shall be required to undergo 14 days, absolute 14 days, facility-based quarantine, okay? So those coming from the 19 countries and it's not covered by the travel ban yet, those arriving before December 30 are still allowed entry, but they will be subject to an absolute facility-based 14-day quarantine. So I think that this one is in the port of entry, but they're not clear on this, but it's saying that facility-based 14-day quarantine. So it means that it has to be in a government facility, not home quarantine. Moreover, effective immediately, Filipino citizens coming from those 19 countries or areas 14 days before arriving to the Philippines are still allowed entry to the Philippines. So this travel ban does not apply to Filipino citizens. Philippines is your home. You're allowed to go home even if you're coming from Switzerland, Australia, Iceland, Netherlands. You're still allowed entry even after December 30. However, Filipino citizens coming from those 19 countries will undergo an absolute facility-based, okay, again, absolute facility-based 14-day quarantine. Even if that they test negative with a COVID test result, they would still need to undergo the 14-day absolute facility-based 14-day quarantine period. The Office of the President, upon the recommendation of the Department of Health and the DFA, may impose restrictions to travelers coming from other countries that report the presence of the new variant COVID-19. So there is a possibility and that more countries will be added on that list. So just watch out if your country is not one of those 19 countries. Just watch out, and if there is a record of that new COVID variant in your country, it is a big possibility that they will also impose a travel ban on that country. How about outbound travel for Filipinos? So, outbound travel to countries with reported new variants shall be subject to the existing protocols, okay? So, no effect. As long as you are allowed entry to your destination, even if you're traveling for non-essential reason, you would still be allowed. The rules is the same. So it's still the same existing protocols. However, you just want to make sure that entry protocols of that respective country is still allowed for Filipino tourists. So the Bureau of Quarantine and the OWA, or the organization that handles overseas Filipino workers, are directed to ensure strict adherence to quarantine and testing protocols for all Filipinos, and such that they need to provide line lists to the local government units to ensure that 14 days quarantine is completed and monitored. The Department of Interior and local government is also directed to ensure that all inbound international travelers from countries not mentioned above strictly finish their 14 days quarantine following the existing quarantine protocols, which allow home quarantine, okay? So that is all for this video, friends. The big news is that 19 countries, foreign nationals coming from these countries or areas 14 days prior to arriving in the Philippines starting December 30 are prohibited from entering the Philippines. Yes, that's a big news. And there is the IATF resolution was clear that there is a possibility that more countries will be added on that list if they show a record of the COVID new variant. So this is not good news, I know, for travelers, but it has to be done because the Philippines cannot afford to have that COVID new variant, you know. People might say that it's not more deadly, but because it's very transmissible, it means that more people could catch it. If more people could catch it, then more vulnerable people could get really sick. And then what's the result? Then it will overwhelm the health system of the Philippines. So that's what it is. So 19 countries prohibited from entering the Philippines. Flights are suspended too. So that is our big news for today. And Filipinos, you're still allowed even if you come from those 19 countries, but you will have to adhere to 14 days facility-based quarantine for Filipinos coming from those 19 areas or countries. January 15, so just for 26 days. But we will watch out if this will be continued or lifted. We will keep an eye the following days. So thank you so much for watching. I know this is big news and this might be disappointing. Yes, that's all for this video, friends. Let me know your thoughts about this. If any changes, of course, we'll make an update. I will see you again with another video. Bye.